Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
Some people call it the resilience muscle. Let me say it like this, though. Every word you speak is either venom or antidote. It's either life or it's death. You should probably consider every word you speak. That's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Stay tuned.
Master the StoryPower method to captivate your audience, improve workplace culture, and 10x your fundraising.
Scan the QR code to book your first coaching call or visit StoryPowerCoach.com.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at StoryPowerAcademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training.
I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. People ask all the time, how do you build this resiliency in your team? I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it or not, but last night I had a chance to watch Young Washington. We're supporters of the Angel Guild, so we get free tickets from time to some of the special new movie launches that they have. And we got a chance to go see Young Washington. It was amazing to me that this little bit of controversy about Young Washington had a lot to do with his ambition. But something that you missed if you weren't careful was it wasn't just ambition that drove him. There was a tenacity that was deep down inside him, and that tenacity looked like the resilience muscle. It looked like, I can win this one way or the other. If I just stay at it long enough, I can win. And I don't want to spoil the movie, but there were a couple little phrases. Yes, phrases that got deep down into his soul. Phrases that they were short, they were pithy, they were powerful. The kind of phrases that said, I believe in me. I believe I can do this. I believe if I stay at it, eventually I will win. And the challenge for a lot of people is they run up against these obstacles in life and they feel like there's no chance that I win here. None at all. And so they don't persist. When the tough times come, they cower, they back up, they step out. They really don't want to be in the battle that long. Now, if you've played any kind of organized sports, like, parenting, you know that sometimes there's a coordinated effort to press through the undesirable. My youngest son is now father of two with another one on the way, and one of those two is special needs. And so the coordinating schedule to get through the day, he generally works a 10-hour day that starts at noon and feels like it goes to midnight. It's usually noon to 2 or noon to 10, something like that. But that means you're sleeping late because you got home late and you just barely got in the house and it's time to crash. But there's bedtime routine that has to be tended to, especially with a special needs kid. And it's really hard to just go through that normal part of life and expect the normal part of life to remain normal, because it's not. But then add to that another toddler, and then soon a new baby. And all of a sudden you've got a whole lot of routine that has its own schedule demands. And you got two parents trying to fight through these scheduled demands and a full-time job on top of that, and life as we know it, keeping the bills paid, keeping the relationships healthy. This is not easy stuff. I know, we did it. We did it with me working 3 jobs and my wife homeschooling our 4 kids. We did it. It wasn't easy. It was painful. But see, that's the kind of project you look at and go, I'm not giving up. My wife and I both came into this marriage and said, we know times are going to be hard, but we've seen way too many divorces in our family histories. We're done with that. She was more resilient to that than I was, because there was a time I told her, get the F out of my truck, and she refused to leave. Good thing. Labor Day weekend is 32 years. I don't know if that's stubborn or resilient, but I'm not sure that they are that different. I can tell you, though, that one of the things that we talked about early on was that big D word. We're not using it in our relationship. We'll fight through whatever comes. That ain't easy to do. And in parenting, when you have those times, I felt like, I'm working 2, 3 jobs. I'd come home and Martha Stewart will have taken care of my house. Everything will be perfectly in place. All the dishes done, all the laundry done, all the counters shiny, all the food warm and hot and steaming when I walk in to sit down at the table, and I'll come in from my job and eat my meal and put my feet up until I go to bed. Not in 32 years. And maybe once or twice in 32 years did the end of the day look like that. Now, that's not a complaint. That's an acknowledgement of reality. And the challenge for a lot of people is in that reality, rather than saying, this is life as we know it, we're going to get used to it, we're going to work through it, what we get is complaints. Dale Carnegie, over 100 years ago, said, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. That's one of the principles of the Golden Rules. In fact, it's the first one. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. It's a natural habit to speak what I feel, what I think, what I want. When my attitude begins to go, whoa, it's easy for me to express my attitude, my frustrations, my wants, needs, and desires not being met. Those are very easy to express because my feelings are right on the surface. It comes easy. As a parent, if you're not careful, you say those things to your kids. That's not good. As a leader, if you're not careful, you say those things to your team. If you're a coach, that happens almost to your own detriment pretty close to instantly. I mean, think about that coach that pulls their team aside on the halftime. And they say, you're a bunch of losers. There's no chance you're going to win this game. You're so far down, there's no way of coming back. We're just going to take all the starters and make them run for the rest of the night. We're going to put the ones that have never started a game, they're playing the rest of the game. What do you think the attitude, the mindset, the belief in potential to win becomes in that moment? A thing of the past. Because the coach has already said in those words, I don't believe in you. You can't do this. You're not going to pull it off. See, young Washington was told over and over and over again, dude, you can't do that. There's no hope. You don't have the qualifications. You don't have the training. You're making bad decisions. You've done some really dumb things. But it was his humility and his maturity, even at a very young age, that he said, I messed that up. But I didn't just fail me. I didn't just fail my process. I didn't just not get the win I was after. It cost people lives. I'm not willing to do that again. And for a moment, he said, I'm going to have to step out of leadership. That this is not me. This is not my role. I didn't have the knowledge, the wisdom, the charisma, the experience, the expectations demanded. I got to go. And he stepped out and he went through a season of understanding. And then one of those little phrases, and you're going to have to watch the movie to catch it, one of those little phrases came up. And his mom reminded him, there was a season in my life that it was a mess, that I had nothing I expected, that all the things I wanted in life were stripped away from me, and I had to figure out how to go get them again. And she said this one phrase. I will reveal this one because not everybody's going to catch it. She said, I had to put the iron in my voice. That steely strength, that deep bass that comes in and you say, not on my watch. It's that resilience. It's that resilience muscle that in the face of the greatest devastations, the greatest losses, the merger and acquisition that didn't go right, the unexpected merger and acquisition, the hostile takeover, that happens in relationships and in corporate America. It happens in militaries. The coup, that one person that sabotaged you. Go back a few episodes. We talked about how that one team member may be somebody that you're trying to lift out of the bottom of the barrel. And they've got a great hold on you. They've got a great grip on you, but it's not so that you can pull them up. No, they intend to pull you back down. And unfortunately, gravity is on their side. But see, these moments demand resilience. And I'm going to tell you, the hardest tool for resilience for any of us to master is the tongue. It's the tongue. It's really easy as someone facing calamity, trauma and drama, bad outcomes, negative results, losses more than wins, failures that you feel like are going to eat you up and consume you. When we have those moments, we feel like there's no chance. If you are speaking to yourself and to your team, words that reinforce that negative belief, that I can't do this kind of belief, those words will guarantee that it's true. When you're facing failure and you feel like I can't go on, the minute you start to say that and repeat it, you make it more true. You're going to have to step back from that. This is the beginning of resilience, the beginning of the resilience muscle, the way that you overcome being absolutely exhausted and ready to quit. The way you do that doesn't start in getting back in the gym. That's a great start. It doesn't start when you reinvest your financial capital. It doesn't start when you reorganize. That's a cool word I just made up. When you reorganize your team. That reorganization is not going to solve the problem. Hiring and firing a bunch of people, that's not necessarily going to solve the problem. Eventually, it may be one of the strategies you must deploy. It may be one of the tactics that if you're not willing to take that step, you're not going to see the success that you want, but it doesn't start there. It starts right there on the end of your tongue. It starts with the things that you're willing to repeat. That's why when you think about a team that's right on the edge, a sports team of any caliber, at halftime, that coach doesn't come in there and say those words that beat you down. That coach doesn't come in there and say, I quit, we give up. No, the coach comes in with a motivational speech. But see, a good coach, a great leader, doesn't throw out hyperbole and manufactured statements based on giant posters. No, that great coach knows the needs, the wants, the hearts, the desires of the team. And he knows how to compel those things to come to the surface. There's a scene in Young Washington where he knows he failed and it cost the life of a friend. And in front of a couple of other friends, he makes a promise. And him making that promise caused them to go, all right, based on that promise, I'm in. The challenge was he made that promise knowing what it could cost him to fulfill. Not an easy promise to keep. But later in the scene, when the time came to put up or shut up, fulfill the promise or stop pretending, he did. As a man of character, he kept his promise at great risk to himself, with the potential of it ending in an absolute disaster. Knowing that others were looking at him going, that is a dumb thing to do. You shouldn't be doing that. See, the coach has got to know enough about the players. Think back to Blindside. It's a great movie about a football player, NFL player. It's a true story of his life story, maybe with a little embellished, Hollywood magic added. But there's a scene in the movie Blindside when the little lady who adopted the big giant football player comes out on the field and the coach is trying to make him do something. And the little lady walks out and she said, see this guy? I don't care if you like him or not. I want you to picture him as your little brother. And you see this one over here? I want you to picture him as me. Would you let anybody hurt me? No. Would you let anybody hurt your little brother? No. Then whatever comes from over there, no, it's your job to see to it they never get to these two. Protect them like you're protecting me and your little brother. Whatever that takes, that's what you do. There you go. That's a motivational speech, right? Well, it's when a leader understands the motivation of the individual. What's important to them? What matters to them? What drives them? What causes them to make the kind of decisions you want them to make? That's the very beginning of that resilience muscle. It's the thing in them, the thing in you that says, I recognize what's coming next is hard. And it's going to be hard. And I'm going to have to fight through it. And I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like going to the gym 5 days a week, 2 hours at a time. But if I'm going to compete in this next lift competition, that's what I got to do. I don't want to get up and run 3 miles every single day. But if I'm going to win in that match, that's what I got to do. I had a friend that in his late 50s, early 60s, started hiking and training with the gym member, not just a gym membership, a private trainer who was busting his chops. And when his son asked him, what are you doing, Dad? He said, I am going on a grizzly bear hunt, and they don't live on flat land. If I'm going after the grizzly, I've got to be prepared when I get there. And some of that preparation starts right in the tongue. When you look in the mirror and you go, we got this, we can do this, we got a plan, we got a strategy, it's going to work. I believe in you. See, those can't be empty, vain words. They can't just be flowery, pretty, I encourage you words. They've got to be genuine, thought out, personal, applicable. That's the job of the leader. When mom sits down with that toddler who doesn't want to eat dinner, this is a battle. This is a battle. If you haven't had it, good luck with it. But it's a battle. So is bedtime. So is bath time for some. And when that moment is coming, and you know it's coming, and you're preparing for that moment, I've heard mothers promise ice cream if you finish your meal. And if you don't finish your meal, no ice cream. And if you go to bed now, we'll have a special breakfast in the morning. But if you don't go to bed now, breakfast is off. I mean, you'll get something, but it's not going to be your favorite. You want a happy face chocolate chip pancake for breakfast? I'm glad to make it, but only if you're in bed by... Some of these work. They're bribery. They're understanding the thinking process and the motivations of the individual. But a leader doesn't just bribe. Again, go back a couple of episodes. We're not just talking about the carrot and the stick. We're talking about those deep motivations, those phrases, those narratives that drive subconscious behavior way more than punishment and reward. Those kind of things that allow you in the midst of the battle to remember that one quote from that one person that just really poked your heart like an ice pick. And you're like, oh, I can't forget that. Not only do I recall that, not only do I remember that, but I have to live up to the way I felt when I heard it, what they meant to me when they said it, what that phrase leaves as a legacy. That's not always easy. And usually it's not fun. But see, resilience in the time of exhaustion, when you feel like I just want to quit, I just want to give up. I've spoken before about a time that I was trying out for the DFW airport. I wanted to get a job as a firefighter, law enforcement, EMT all at the same time. And I went out for the qualifying run. Before the day of the qualifying run, I would run through my neighborhood and down the road behind our neighborhood, and probably 3 or 4 miles a day trying to get my fat self back in shape. And as I would run, my son would ride his bicycle with his training wheels and try to keep up with me. I'm not sure which one of us was slower, him on his training wheels or myself trying to run. But I was terrified, honestly, of that day. I thought the odds that I'm going to make this qualifying time of 2 minutes and a 4:40 at almost 40 years old, that's a step. That would have been a stretch. The day came. I drug the hose. I climbed the ladders. I made the fence jumps. I did everything I was supposed to, and now I'm down to 2 competitions left. Drag a 200-pound dummy out of a dark space. Done that before. Shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, I'm 25 years older than I was when I did it the first time, but I think I can do that one okay. But this run had me scared. And then we got out there, and there's no track. It's just a giant parking lot that they measured off the amount of space. And then I get out there, and it's not like we're starting in squad, so I have somebody to, kind of keep an idea with. No, it's just 3 guys standing there with stopwatches. They time each individual. So you walk up to the track, there's an open stopwatch, go. And that's what they did. I walked up there and they went, go. And I'm like, fine. And so I took off. Well, there was a guy that took off just before me. I mean, maybe 5 yards ahead of me. Skinny guy, tall guy, long legs, like a 15-foot stride, kind of long legs. And I tried the entire time to catch him, and I never did. And I crossed that line with him probably 20 yards ahead of me. I crossed that line, hands on my head, trying to find my breath, trying to catch it. I thought I was going to die right there. And I looked at the guy with my stopwatch and said, did I even come close to qualifying? And he laughed out loud. He said, you're kidding me, right? I'm like, No, I'm about to die. I hope it was worth the trip. And he said, your qualifying time is 2 minutes. I said, okay. He said, you ran it in 48 seconds. No, I didn't. You did. I was about to die. But a 4:40 in 48 seconds, that's what I ran in basic training. I hadn't run like that since I was in Honduras running a 10K for fun. But I gave it all I had. I put in everything I had to qualify. And if it hadn't been for the guy in front of me being some Spider-Man style track star, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself that hard. Because I can tell you, the language in my head said, you're going to die. You are not going to make it. I didn't believe I was going to make it when I showed up there. I really didn't believe I was going to make it when I felt like I was dying on the turn 4. I really didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't believe I made it when he told me I made it. Resilience didn't start on the track. Resilience didn't start halfway around. For me, resilience started when I crossed the line and I won. Let me tell you something. That is not the right way to do it. If you start with that belief before you get there, then the payoff is expected. I'm going to tell you right now, as a leader, whether as a parent, a leader of a team like a coach, or a leader of an organization or a corporate organization, nonprofit or for-profit, doesn't matter. As the leader, you've got to identify those things in the individuals on your team that motivate them, that drive them forward, that keep them moving, that cause them to see the vision already completed and believe, I can do that. I can do that. And if they don't reach that space because you've kind of given up on them, if they don't reach that space because your language is harsher than what they're telling themselves, if they don't reach that place of accomplishment because you don't believe they can, then your words are less like an antidote and more like a venom. Your opinion of them, your attitude toward them, your belief in them hasn't lived up to the standard of a good leader. And unfortunately, most of the time, that's caused by the fact that you don't believe in you. You're living in this, I question everything. I have imposter syndrome. I'm a little insecure. I'm not sure I should have been made the leader of this. I'm ready to give up. It's really hard to lead people to succeed when you're ready to quit. Nobody wants to go along with you when that's your attitude. Who wants to follow a coward into battle? Pretty much nobody. I'm not trying to be critical or judgmental. I'm just saying, remember that whether it's venom or it's antidote, it starts right here. And that comes from here and here. And if what you're thinking about what you're feeling is coming out of your mouth, as attitudes do, they will lead to actions and behaviors. And ultimately, they will completely shape your world. You don't have to believe everything you think. Good or bad. Somebody throws a new idea, you're like, wow, that sounds really, really good. But the underpinning of that is manipulation. It's a structure that's actually going to cause you failure. It's going to lead you down a path that you can't win. It's going to destroy relationships, cost you money, set your timeline back significantly. See, these are the kind of things that you've got to be cautious about what you allow in your head, because that thinking becomes your thoughts and feelings, attitude becomes your language model, and you will express it to yourself and to your team. And when that venom starts coming off your tongue while you're looking in the mirror, while you're shaving, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're styling your hair, that's going to reshape your future in a heartbeat. And when it comes out as you're speaking to your team, coaching, parenting, leading a business, when those words start coming out for your team, their level of resilience just gets chipped away every time you disbelieve in them. And when you disbelieve in yourself, you're robbing them of the confidence to follow a champion into battle and not a coward. It's all on you. It's all about what you allow to be felt, to be said, to be expressed in your own attitude. The key to resilience starts in the words that you say. Are they venom or are they antidote? Are they life or are they death? Are you measuring every word that you're willing to say to the people you lead in a way that they could look at and honestly go, I'm going to hang on to that word because I know a tough time's coming, and when it does, that word's going to make me ready. I'll call back to this moment and I'll know I got this. When you think of the number of people who've been poisoned and battle scarred, and they give up, they quit, they lose their resilience. They got no resilience muscle in them because they've never been taught. You got this. With an honest and reasonable explanation as to why. A lot of people are perfectly happy with creating some mantra, some chant, some phrase that has no substance behind it. Sounds good, feels good, makes everybody think, yeah, rah, rah, rah. But you couldn't back it up if you had to. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about looking at the character of a person, the accomplishments of a person, the competencies of a person, the abilities of a person, the potential that you see in them that they don't yet see. John Maxwell says, see everyone as a 10. What they need is for you to lend belief to them. You want to see your team be resilient? Tell them how you know they can succeed, even if they've never actually done it themselves. Give them some reason to think, I could do that. I mean, I recognize my skills and my abilities in a way that I never have before because you said it, because you called it out of me, because you pushed me to the level of believing it, because you believed it and you said it. That's how you lead a team with resilience. I was in basic training in the late 80s, and the day that I was appointed dorm chief was day 9 of basic training, day 9. And that night, everybody in basic training was screaming and yelling and hollering and crying and just throwing a fit like a bunch of 5-year-old little girls at a soccer meet with no ball. I mean, they were just ridiculous. Well, I was right there with them because I was crying, writing a letter to my girlfriend over and over and over. It kept turning into a poem, and I was just so mad. I tried to call her that day, collect, and her grandmother wouldn't accept the call. In fact, what she said was, not only am I taking this call, don't bother calling back again because she didn't want to talk to you. Years later, I found out that was grandma's doing and wasn't my girl's feeling. But that was the end of our relationship. I was as disgruntled, as disappointed, so angry, so mad, so crushed. So I was just crying my eyes out like everybody else. And something struck me in that moment. If you DM me, I'll tell you what it was. Something struck me in that moment, and I stood up and I yelled at everybody in the room. And because I'm the dorm chief, now they listen. And I said, not one of you here is struggling with a problem that the other guy doesn't understand. Not one of you here has a problem that other people have not had or are having right this minute. But I can tell you this right now, if we get to day 30 with this attitude, we're barely going to get out of here. We've already seen 2 guys get sent back. One who just went, I refuse to train. And they said, fine, you're out of here. He thought he was going home. No, you're government property now. Yeah, on day 9, he got to start all over. So now instead of 30 days of basic training, he got 40. They call it a recycle. Another one just couldn't keep his mouth shut and he was always getting in trouble. So on day 12, he got recycled as well. He got to start over and do 42 days and almost got himself thrown in jail. See, none of us wanted that problem and didn't want to get to the end as failures who just barely scraped by. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, this flight 809, is going to be an honor flight. Our name is going to be on that wall. I don't know what I do. Something made me say it, and I listened to something. And we became one of the sharpest troops with 2 female dorm drill instructors. They couldn't be in the dorm after dark, but we never failed an overnight inspection when somebody else came in and kicked the cans in our room, when somebody else came in and misaligned our beds in the middle of the night, when somebody else came in and ruffled through all of our linens and yanked our beds apart just before daybreak. We never failed an inspection. We made every drill on time. We made every exercise on time. And we only had 2 people who couldn't pass the PT test, and they got really, really close. Because we believed we could, we did. It starts here, starts here, starts here. Right there's where everybody's going to see it. If you want to build your resilience muscle, build it in your tongue. The stories that you tell will shape the future you live. For good or for bad, for better, for worse, for life, for death. Are you speaking venom? Are you speaking antidote? I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, or Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Think storytelling's just for bedtime? Nah, it's the secret sauce for business magic. Stuck in a rut with bland pitches and yawning clients? Enter Boost Your Business with StoryPower. 6 weeks of epic storytelling training. It's like leveling up in a video game but for your career. Master the art of narrative and watch connections blossom like a viral TikTok. Simple, impactful, and game-changing. Ready to transform your biz vibes? Dive in now and make storytelling your superpower.
This 6 weeks guided program is specifically designed for those people who say, I know I need to tell stories. I need to tell better stories because the ones I have are boring or they're not getting across. Or as John Maxwell says, everyone communicates and, well, few connect. Now, as a participant in this course, what I would really love to know from you, put it in the discussion on the course if you're already registered online. Send me a chat, send me a DM, send me a text, send me an email. I'd really love to know what you hope to get out of this course. Now, I can tell you what we're going to discuss, and I can tell you what I plan to teach and train you on, and I can tell you even what we plan to discuss each week on the calls for the next 6 weeks. I'm going to go over all of that for you in just a moment. I can also tell you that my clients who get the greatest success are the ones who apply the StoryPower process to their business development to increase their impact, their influence, and their income. Now, the StoryPower process includes story mining, story selection, story qualification, story crafting, connecting with your audience, and leading the narrative. And if you leave any one of those parts out, you're going to find that, well, you're just not as effective as you want to be. You're not going to grow your business to the same level. You're not going to lead with impact and influence like you hope to. I can also tell you that the people who apply these things, well, they're not failing in their business. The reason a lot of people fail in their business is they continue to fail to connect the solution they offer with the problem that their clients have. The pain and the solution never come together. And a lot of that failure is because they're not clearly articulating how their solution solves someone else's problem. It comes down to a question something like this: who do you help and how? Yes, that's one of the first things we're going to discuss over the next 6 weeks of Boost Your Business with StoryPower.
Master the StoryPower method to captivate your audience, improve workplace culture, and 10x your fundraising.
Scan the QR code to book your first coaching call or visit StoryPowerCoach.com.
Subscribe now